Hi, and welcome to this week's lecture on ISM 416 Natural Language Processing. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. Now, so far in this course, we've looked at many things, obviously, right? We started off by looking at how to handle text in Python. We looked at regular expressions, okay, which is used to identify patterns in text. Then we saw how to, after extracting the patterns in your text, we saw how to use pandas library to convert those text corpus into a structured form so we can start making analysis with them. Then we saw how to scrape data, okay? We saw how to scrape articles online and summarize them using Beautiful Soup, Request, and the Jameson library, okay? And just last week we looked at how to perform NLP tasks, which are very important in the field of data science and the area of natural language processing, to perform some useful tasks in our natural language, like tokenization, to do lemmatization, to tag them according to their parts of speech, and many more. Now, this week we are going to start a new part of this course, okay? Of course, I told you previously that NLP is kind of a branch of data science, right? And for you to perform NLP accurately, to build solutions that are usable in companies and other places, you have to follow the data science workflow, okay? We studied the data science workflow in detail in other course, ISM 415, okay, special topics, where I told you every data science project has to start with a question, okay? Then you proceed to getting your data, then you perform exploratory data analysis with it, you apply techniques like machine learning techniques, then you share insights and others, okay? So in this lecture, okay, I hope it's going to we're able to cover it this week and next week, but if we don't cover it, okay, we'll have to spread it across the upper week, because this topic is very, very important, okay, for us to be able to build meaningful solution in natural language processing. Okay, so in this week and the next, hopefully, we are going to be studying exploratory data analysis. Okay, I briefly introduced you to exploratory data analysis in ISMS 415, right, where we saw how to clean our data and visualize them, answer some business-driven questions and others. Okay, but in this lecture we are going to be focusing on text data. Okay, so let's get started with it. So what exactly is exploratory data analysis? Okay, you guys are already familiar with this based on the fact that we've already studied this previously, but I'm still going to explain it to you, okay, as it's very key for us in this journey, right? So exploratory data analysis, just as the name implies, is the technique for exploring data, right? What we mean by exploring data is identifying useful patterns in your data, making business-driven decisions, and applying statistics and visualizing your data so as to make your solution more robust and well to use, right? Okay, so just for formality's sake, you can say that exploratory data analysis is the process of exploring data, generating insights, testing hypotheses, checking assumptions, and revealing underlying hidden patterns in text. Okay, so this is so key for us in this area, right? Because our text data is highly unstructured in nature, which means it comes with many things like noise and spelling errors, etc. Right? So in order for us to really gain meaningful insight from those data here now is text data. We need to make use of the exploratory data analysis. Okay, so we use it to investigate and detect analysis to see the patterns in our text data, right? So now for this week's lecture and the next week's lecture as well, we are going to be working with a text data. Okay, this text data is already structured for us. Now the reason why we chose this data is not just because it is already structured. We can, based on what we've learned so far, we know how to scrape articles online, we know how to convert them into structured form, but for us to generate data that is very huge is going to be time consuming. Okay, that's why we sought out for already structured data for us. Okay, so the reason why I chose this data is because I'm kind of a fan of the Amazon platform. I use the AWS service a lot, okay, for building solutions for machine learning. Okay, also I'm also familiar with some of their products like the Echo and the Fire TV. So in this week's lecture, we are going to be working on an Amazon dataset for customer review. Okay, this is a dataset where customers make reviews on various Amazon's products. Okay, whether it's good, bad, and many things, their experience and stuff, right? So we're going to be making use of this data. Now, this data was gotten from Kaggle. You guys are already familiar with Kaggle as you used it for your in-class hackathon in ISM 415, right? So you can get the data through this link, but I'm still going to send it to you on the e-learning platform so you can skip this part, right? So this data set contains over 34,000 rows, right? Now, of course, you know what rows are. So it contains over 34,000 rows, which contains review text, okay? Contains various variables like the ID of the product, the name of the product, the signs, the brand, the category, and many others, right? So we are going to explore this data today so as to generate insight from it. Okay, now if you followed closely in what we did in ISM 415 when we studied data science and machine learning, when we started machine learning, we started with data pre-processing. Just as the name implies, we pre-process our data by cleaning it, checking for missing values, dropping the missing values, okay? So removing unwanted variables, right? So that's what we are going to be doing. That's in fact the first step to take in performing exploratory data analysis. First of all, you have to make your data good enough for analysis, right? So that's what we're going to be doing for this week. Next week we enter exploratory data analysis proper. Okay, hopefully we'll cover everything in this time frame, right? So for us to perform this data pre-processing, you're already familiar with some of the libraries we've used in ISM 415, but I'm still going to list them out for you so you get familiar with it as well. So the first one is the NumPy library, or NumPy library as some will fondly call it. Okay, the NumPy library is an open source library. You already know what open source is. Means you can improve it, right? You can do more research on the library to better improve it. You can alter it and mold it to your choice, right? So this library is very key in data science because in building a machine learning solution, you don't simply pass in a structured data frame, right? You need to convert it into what we call an n-dimensional array. Okay, so let me break that down. N-dimensional, n now stands for any number. If it is one-dimensional array, it means you are referring to a column or a row, right? If it is two-dimensional array, it means you are referring to something that has a column and a row together, right? Just like a data frame containing rows and columns, right? So a typical data frame is a two-dimensional array. Then we have multi-dimensional array, like when you start processing images, okay? Image contains different colors, right? A colored image contains different colors, like the green, blue, and the red. Is it red? Okay, so this is a multi-dimensional array, right? For you to handle those data, you need to make use of NumPy. So you convert them to array or kind of a matrix form, right? So we're going to be using the NumPy library later in this topic to better pre-process our data, right, as we get it ready for analysis. The next library we are going to be looking at is the pandas library, which every one of you is already familiar with. We've used the pandas library more than any other library in this course and in our ISM 415 course, right? The pandas library is very powerful for handling structured data, right? You can use it to read different data formats, like reading CSV files or Excel files, etc., right? You can use it to convert a data type, let's say a dictionary or a list, to a pandas data frame, okay, which you can now continue your analysis by checking missing values, reindexing it, and performing various analysis in it. Okay, so our pandas library is a must use in any exploratory data analysis, or in fact data science tasks in general. So the next library, which you are also familiar with, is the matplotlib library. Okay, like the name also implies, the matplotlib library is used for making elegant visualization. Although it is not the only library for making visualization, we have the Seaborn, which we saw in our other course, right? And other libraries which I'm going to introduce you to as we progress. Then we have the RE library, which is very powerful, short for regular expressions, and it is used to identify patterns in text. We studied this deeply along with the pandas library for 2 weeks, right? We use the various functions in our RE library to identify patterns in text, like the date, the sender's name, and the body of the text, and many more, right? So the RE library is very powerful, and we're going to be using it for this part of the course as well. Then finally, we have 2 more libraries, the string library and the math library. So all these are also explanatory based on their names. The string, a string is a data type, right, for which we already did in our first day when we saw handling text with Python, right? So the string library, just as the name implies as well, is used for handling strings, right? And the math library, just as the name also implies, is for performing some mathematical operations. So we're going to see it. It has lots of inbuilt functions like the cosine, the sine, the square root, and many more. So these things help you to perform your tasks accurately and fast. So you don't have to start writing functions for, let's say, calculating square root, or you write a function for calculating the sine of a number, the cosine of a number, the tangent and stuff. Okay, so we can just rapidly leverage on these libraries to make our work easy. Okay, so I believe you all understood what I've said so far. Okay, so it is very important to understand it. Exploratory data analysis is simply a technique for identifying patterns in text, okay, gaining meaningful insight. Now I'm using text here in place of normal data because we are working on natural language, okay, and natural language can be driven by text or words, right? So since we don't have so much firepower, we're just starting, so we are going to concentrate on text and not voice, right? And over 80% of data around us is unstructured in nature, and they are text, right? Because as we chat, as we talk to each other on social media, on articles, everything is text, right? And they are just written in natural language, right? So we need to leverage on the power of exploratory data analysis to gain insight from those text data, okay? And that's what we're going to be doing here, using the various available libraries that I've already showed you, okay? So we are going to start out by looking at data preprocessing, which is an approach for cleaning your data, preparing it for exploratory data analysis, okay? So we're going to exit this notebook for now, and we'll go back to, exit the slide for now and go back to our notebook, okay? These steps are already familiar with you, so I'm not going to reiterate. So I've gone on to my navigated to my working directory to open a new notebook. Then I've changed the name to text EDA, that's text exploratory data analysis. So later, once I'm done with today's lecture, I'm going to indicate part 1 because it's going to be in part, as we are not going to cover everything in this lecture. Okay, so you understand this problem statement. We are simply trying to gain insight from the review of Amazon customers. Okay, what are the customers saying about this our product? Okay, so this is a very key area to understand. So feel free, if you want, to scrape any article where you have review. Okay, I've already showed you how to do that. You convert the different reviews, that's probably the name of the person or the product, into a structured form, okay, by writing a for loop and appending it to a dictionary, converting the dictionary to a list, and then to a data frame. These are super easy, and we've done this along the journey to this place. Okay, so we'll start by importing the important libraries that we've already listed. Like I said, I'm going to take it slow. I'm not going to rush you in this part of the course because this is a very critical part. You have to understand every single step I take, okay? And this step can be replicated. You can use it in as many projects as you are doing, right? You don't have to start doing anything from scratch. Then later on, I'm going to show you another way, but that will be much later, to pickle your file, okay? So let's say you've performed an analysis, you've written a long line of code, and you have multiple projects that those analyses could prove useful. So instead of writing those code over and over again, you can pickle your solution and reuse it. You just import it like normal library, okay? So give me a minute. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll get started by importing our libraries, okay? So I'm going to write a brief comment. Always start with a comment so that you know the place you are in your journey in analysis. Important libraries. Okay, so the first library is the NumPy library or NumPy library, whichever way you choose to pronounce it, import numpy as np. So I'm going to abbreviate it. The name is super short, but of course you know the abbreviation is optional, right? So you can choose to abbreviate it as np, or you simply go with import numpy. Whichever way you choose is also correct. So the next one, we're going to import pandas, and we are also going to abbreviate it as pd. Thirdly, we import the matplotlib, import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. So then we import our re library, import re. So wherever you're having problem executing this code, you can simply send me a message and I'm going to reply you at the earliest, right? So you know how to reach me, so do that. We import string, then finally we import math. So we execute this. So I might have to pause this video. So okay, so once we've imported our important libraries which we are going to use, the next thing we're going to do, of course, is to import our data. So I'm going to just navigate here to make sure that my data is here. So what I'm looking for is Amazon review. Can I see it here? Amazon review. So you have to make sure that your data is saved in your working directory, else you're going to have serious errors. Okay, so and the error can be time consuming and stuff to. Okay, this is what I'm looking for, Amazon review. You also take note that your data is case sensitive. Python in general is case sensitive, so you don't switch lowercase for uppercase, right? So we're going to see the rationale behind those things, right? Because we are studying natural language processing, so we're going to take those things into account. How do you account for words that mean the same thing, but they are just in different capitalization? The other one is in uppercase and the other is in lower. So we are going to account for that as well. So I'm going to write a comment importing the data. Okay, so I'm going to call it review with lowercase. You can call it anything. To read our data is in CSV, just like we've been using before. Of course, by now you already know CSV is not the only format. You can import your data in Excel, okay, in PDF, and in various formats. So we simply use the pandas.read underscore CSV for reading CSV files. So our data name is Amazon review. Okay, so maybe sometime just stay posted in my channel. I'm going to show you how to use the AWS, which is an amazing platform for data scientists or AI enthusiasts. You can do so much with the Amazon Web Service. You can build solution that is usable, that companies can use, and you don't have to write so much code, right? So you can just leverage on the existing developed things there, right? So we import this and we can just get the head. So see, what we are working with. Review. What am I doing? Review dot head. So we execute this. It's taking time. Oops, I'm having errors. Okay, CSV. Just talking and writing and forget CSV. Okay, so this should work. Okay, we can all see our data. Okay, so we have different columns there, right? So I think our data is a pretty huge one, so we can just get the shape, and you can also identify some missing values. So we can just see the number of rows and columns in our data, so we know what we are working with. And to do that is super easy. We simply call our variable name and we use the shape method to get the number of rows and columns. So you can see we have 34,660 rows and 21 columns, which is a pretty huge data set, right? So, and considering what we're trying to do, right? The idea of performing these tasks is for us to see what the Amazon customers have to say for their various products that they've used, right? And using 21 column for that could be, in fact, would be time consuming and wouldn't give us so much insight as we would want, because some of the columns here are, if I will use the word, unnecessary. So let me shorten this. I'm going to make it like 2 so that it's easier for me to peruse. Okay. Right, so we have this number of rows and columns. So let's try to view the various columns we have in our data set. And it's super easy, super simple. We call the variable name and you use the columns method to get the list of the 21 columns. So we have ID, name, this, and many more. So let's look at the ones we are going to be needing, because we can't possibly use everything. So let me ask you, or let's ask ourselves, if we are given this project to handle, okay, Amazon gives us this data set and says, okay, now identify the sentiment, okay, how are customers reacting to some of our products, right? Like the Echo, the Fire TV, and many others, right? What variable are you going to use to gain the insight? This is a crucial question, right? And that is why performing explorative data analysis is, in fact, a very, very important thing to do before you start building your model or you start generalizing, right? Because you need to really take time to study your data. That's why they say in the data science workflow, right, like 70 to 80% of your time is spent understanding your data. Okay, you settle down, you look at your data and hear your data speaking to you, telling you things that only a friend can tell to your true friend. Alright, so let's take a look at what we're going to be using. So we want to identify some of the things that customers are saying about a particular product, okay, whether it is good or bad. Okay, this is a review now. So what are the things we are going to use? Obviously we don't need the ID, it's unnecessary. The name is key because we want to see what customers are saying so and so for what product. So we are going to be making use of the name column here. This, I don't know what that is, so we're not going to use it. The brand, we already know that the brand is Amazon, so we don't need this column as well. The category, we are not interested in it for now. Okay, maybe in future, or for your maybe relaxation, you can relax with this and add this as well. We don't need the key. We don't need the manufacturer, we already know that. Review date, nah, we're not interested in that as well. What else? Review, do, recommend. Now this is key, because if a customer uses a particular product, you have to know whether the customer is willing to recommend that same product to another person. It will help you, it will give you a sense of idea of whether the customer really likes your product or not. So you cannot just base your analysis on the review. You also have to take note of this simple step, whether the customer is likely to suggest that particular product to other customers, right? Other prospective customers. So we don't need the review ID. Now we also need this, okay? The number of helpful reviews, we need this, okay? So then I think finally we need the review itself. So we are going to be basing our analysis on those 4 variables. So you can look at the rest, you can see the rest are kind of useless. Not useless in a bad way, but useless in a good way. So we are going to select those important columns. So I'm going to write a comment. What is happening? Give me a moment, okay? Select the important columns. Alright, so to do that, we have to reuse our variable. You can, some people might decide to change the variable name, but I'm going to use the same variable name, because the original one will not be useless after I've selected the columns I'm interested in. So to select those columns that we need, we have to index them, right? These steps are already familiar with you, so I'm going to quickly do it, okay? So the first square bracket is to index, and the second one is the list of columns we're interested in. So I'm going to copy and paste. It feels good to copy and paste, right? Okay, so which other one? Name the no. Yeah, this. Yeah, Control C, Control V. So you can see I'm not rushing. I'm taking my time to explain this to you. So if you are studying this, please don't rush. Okay, just take your time. So if you don't finish it today and next week, we are going to extend it to the upper week, but the time is worth it, right? So everything, this is a foundation to performing our use case, okay? Because we are going to be doing sentiment analysis, topic modeling, and text generation. And if we don't understand these things, we can't really do those, right? So it's important for us to understand this, so as to build a very good solution that we can deploy, okay, using some app. Okay, I think we have everything. Control V. So once you're done, you make sure you have everything and you execute. Okay, we can just print the head. Review dot head, and execute. Okay, so we have our 4 columns here. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do, which I'm sure you can well predict, is to check for missing values, right? I know most of you have been waiting for this moment. So check, you can write a comment, check and drop missing values. So this step I'm taking now, for your assignment, you are going to perform similar approach on your email corpus. Remember, we converted our email into structured form, having rows and columns. So you are going to perform similar steps in cleaning your email data. Okay, the structured email data, that should be your assignment, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy working with that data, right? All right, so we check for our missing value. How do we do that? We call our variable name review, then we use the is null, which is simply we're asking a question. This is null, what it does is it iterates individually, that it goes through all the individual rows. If there is a missing value, it returns a boolean value, whether it's true or false. So if there's a missing value here, you are going to have true. If there is no missing value, you have false, right? But this is not entirely useful, right? Iterating through the rows, we want to sum all the missing values in each of the columns. So we use another method, which is sum, just as the name implies, for taking summation of your columns. So as you can see, we have missing values in our data, in all the rows for that matter, right? In all the columns, I mean. So what we can do now is to drop the missing value, and it's super easy. Okay, so how do we do it? We say review. Please take note of all these steps. We've used it multiple times, so you should be familiar with this. So review, which is our variable name, we say dot drop NA. So in parentheses, we want to change this dropped missing values, the new data that is now generated, to be saved in the original data, right? So we say review.drop NA, and we specify a parameter in place to be equal to true. So simple. So we've done that. We can go ahead and execute this code again to check whether we still have missing values in our data, and you can see there are none. So let's check the shape of our data to know how many rows that we've lost. So we'll say review dot shape. Okay, so our data has now reduced, but not so much. This is also very good for us to work with. Now let me ask you a question. How can you decide, okay, what sample? Now if you are performing this kind of analysis, you need to take sample, right? For instance, we have the product name and we have the reviews for those products, right? Now what sample are you going to use to make sure, in order for you to ensure that the result you are getting is usable, that you can apply it, you can use it to make business driven decisions? Take a moment to think about it. Okay, now let's say you script an article, a review for a company online, okay, a company that just produced a new product, right? And you have just 10 reviews, okay, and in the 10 reviews you see 8 of them we are saying, okay, this product is good, I love this, I can recommend this, while the remaining 2 are saying this product is bad, I don't like it. Now will you use, because of you have 8 positive sentiments, to now generalize that your product is good? Of course not. You can't do that, because using 10 is a very small sample to make decision. So for us to be able to gain insight from this data, we need to take good sample of each product, so that we can say, okay, yeah, from this sample that we've gotten, we can make good business driven decisions with the results we've gotten so far from it. Okay, so for that reason, we are going to consider only the reviews, only the product that have more than 500 reviews, or have at least 500 reviews. So this will help us have good amount of reviews for each product, right? So we don't have one product having 8 review and the other one having 20, 50, and so on. Those are little samples that are close to useless, to say the least. Okay, so we are going to consider just the products that have reviews more than 500. So to do that, we make use of lambda function. Okay, so give me a moment. Let's take our time. Okay, so the lambda function, we looked at it in our ISM 415, right? The first period when I did introduction to data science, we looked at functions. We looked at the normal regular function, which can be created using the def keyword and the lambda function. And I told you the lambda function can sometimes be called anonymous function, because sometimes you don't need to name it, for instance. Okay, you don't need to assign it a name. Okay, so we're going to be using lambda function here. We also use regular function, but that will be in little occurrence compared to the use of lambda function. So the lambda function, first of all, you start it with the lambda keyword. So let me quickly explain it again before we proceed to using it. You start it with the lambda keyword. So this is called the keyword. Okay, lambda. Following the keyword is what we call a bound variable, x. We usually use x, so is common, but you can change it. You can call it y, call it z, call it anything you want. So this is the keyword and this is the bound variable. So in other words, this bound variable can be called argument. You've heard me make mention of argument, like this takes in one argument and stuff. Okay, so this is similar to this. So this is the argument. Then you specify your delimiter, which is denoted by a full colon. Then what is going to be on the right hand side is what we call the body of the function. Okay, what you really want to return. Let's say you want to return x plus 3, for instance, x plus 3. Okay, so this is our lambda keyword. This is our argument, okay, which is the unknown value, and this is the body. We want to return x plus 3, right? So we can execute this. Okay, so this returns a function for you. So we can assign this to a variable g to be equal to hold this function. We'll run it. Okay, so if we now call g and assign a, because of course this, like I told you, is the argument or the unknown value that it's going to take. So let's say it's going to take an unknown value of 5, and we execute this. You see it's going to return 8, which is the argument plus the other value, right? So this is lambda function. If you want to do this using the normal regular function, is also the same thing. So you can say define h, which will take in an unknown argument x, okay, and you want to return x plus 3. So you run this and you just say h of 5, and you have the same result. So this function that I've written here is exactly the same thing here, but the lambda function generally is used for writing a single expression. okay, and we are going to be using it more often. In fact, we are going to be using what we call the double IFEX, right, which is short for immediately invoked function expression. So once you write a lambda function, you execute it immediately. So let me show you how it is. So we specify a tuple. We use our lambda keyword. Okay, these things are pretty easy. Please follow me and you won't get confused at all. So if you still don't understand this, there are lots of tutorials on lambda function online that you can maybe look at during your convenience, at your convenience. So let's say we define this, the argument is x, right, and we want to return x times x times x, right. Now we want to get the result immediately, so we can specify 10 here, for instance, and we execute. So you can see we have our result instantly. So we are going to be making use of the lambda function to filter out the reviews for each product that are above, in fact, to filter out the product that have reviews more than 500. So let's do that now. So to do that, first of all, because we are considering the name of the product, right, so I'm going to group it by the name. Okay, we did group by in our ISM 415, so please, I expect you to really know these things by now. Okay, so I call my variable name review, then I use a group by. Okay, I want to group by the name. I want to group by the name. So if what is happening? Name. So if I execute this, it's going to return a group, a pandas group by generic object. So let's say if I say sum here, if I say sum, so let's see what we'll get. This shouldn't take so much time. Okay, so now we've grouped it by, and you can see the products and now the index. Okay, everything is grouped based on the product, right? So but we don't really, this is not what we need. We want to filter the products that have more than 500 reviews, right? So that's what we're interested in. So for us to do that, we use the filter function. Filter. Okay, now this filter is going to take a lambda expression that will filter, that will select all the products that have review greater than 500. So let's do that. It's super easy. First we use our lambda keyword. We specify an argument x. Then what we want to return is all the reviews that are more than 500. So we simply say length of x, okay, greater than 500. Simple. So let me go through this again. So this is it. We grouped our data based on the names, right, of the product. Now we filter using the lambda function. The S here stands for individual product here. So we simply use the lambda function to filter each of the products. We get their length, we count them, get the length of them, and filters out only the ones that have length greater than 500. So that's what we did. We go ahead and execute this, and we see. So we can assign this to be our new data now, our new review data. Okay, so this is going to be the one we're going to be using from now. Review. Okay, so run this. All right, now we are done with this. The next thing we want to do is to see the length of the unique product. Of course, you know we have a column for the product name, but how many of the products in the column are unique? How many different products do we have there, right? So we simply do that using the unique method, right? We call our variable name review, and we index the name column for the product. Okay, then we use the unique method to get the number of the different unique products in our column. So when we do this, we have a list, but we can't start possibly counting them, right? We simply say len. We use the len function to count the unique products. We run this, and we see that we only have 8 unique products in the entire data set, which is a very good observation. So I'm going to view my data again. Okay, review dot head. I hope my explanations are very clear. Okay, I'm taking everything small, step by step, so you don't get confused. Now let's study our data again, because this is in a digestible form. We don't have so much column there. So the first column we have here is the name, that's the product name. The second one is, do you recommend this product to somebody else? Okay, if now the result of this column is a boolean, that means it's either true or false, right? But we can't really, of course, you know, the machine doesn't really understand does this true or false, right? Okay, so we have to convert this to number 0 or 1, right? Then for this review number of helpful reviews, so we have it in a float form. Okay, that means we have it in decimal form, but this is not really good. We need to convert them to integers, right? So we're going to do that in just 2 lines of code. So I'm going to write a comment. Okay, convert. So give me a moment. Okay, so we have a few times left, so I'm going to skip all these comments writing stuff, as it's going to take so much time. So just know we are about to convert these 2 columns, 1, 2, into integers, right? So to do that, first we call our variable name review. Okay, then we index the column. So I'm going to, like I said, copy and paste is good. Copy this, Ctrl C, paste this, Ctrl V. Then I set this equal to, I will say copy everything here, Ctrl C, paste it here, then convert it to integer using the asType method. asType what? Now want to use asType int. So we can go ahead and copy this as well, Ctrl C, and paste it below this, and change the variable name, that's the column name. Ctrl C, change it here, Ctrl V, and also here, Ctrl V, then convert it to integer as well. So we'll go ahead and execute this. Okay, let's give it time. Okay, so when we execute this, we can go ahead and check the review, the column head, okay, review.head, to see whether those columns, you can neglect the warning sign, it doesn't really matter, you can read them if you want. So you can see the columns now have been converted to integers, which is what we really want. Okay, now also taking note of our time, we are going to the second stage. I hope we quickly finish this, then we've achieved mostly what we wanted to cover today. Okay, I'm not sure we're going to finish everything, but we've made good progress if we can finish this. So the next one, we are going to start our text cleaning. Okay, text cleaning. Okay, this is a very key thing we have to do. Now in text cleaning, we take a look at the product name again, the different unique values in our product. So for us to do that, we say our review, which is our variable name. We index the column, the name column, then we use the unique function method to get the unique values, the unique column thing. So you can see we have 8 unique columns here, 8 unique products in our data, right? But you notice something weird here. At the end of the name of each product, you have a repeating pattern. Okay, this 3 comma here means that this similar name is appearing multiple times as well. Okay, so we have to clean this. Can give me some moments. Okay, we have to clean out this, right? And to do that, we also make use of the lambda function. So I'm going to walk you through the process of cleaning this and getting just the first occurrence, just the first product. Okay, so to do that is super easy. Okay, everything we're doing is easy. Just follow the flow. We call our variable name review. Okay, then we index the name of our column, which is name. Okay, then we apply the lambda function. First, for us to select the product that we're talking about, we need to split this. Okay, knowing that the name of the products are repeating themselves, right? So we have to split them on these three comma here, so that we can see the rest. So to do that, we simply say use the apply function. Okay, so we want to apply the lambda. Okay, so lambda, the argument comes, then we are returning the individual product, the split of the individual product. So we are going to split this product name on these 3 comma. So let's run this and see what we'll get. So you can see, look at the product, and is occurring multiple times, right? So we can index it. We want just the first one, right? So we want just the first one. We can index the 0. Let's index 0 and see what we get. So you can see we only have 1. All right, so we're making progress. We assign this to our review name, so we can simply copy this. Control C, come here, put an equal sign, and paste it here. So we are done with this. Okay, so we are good. Now let's try to, we are done with cleaning the product name, right? So we can view the unique value to see if we still have these 3 comma here. So we view the unique values. You can see the 3 commas are gone. So we have 8 unique values here, not 8 unique and duplicated values, which is good for us. So let's take a look at our time again. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm not going to write this in from scratch, but I'm going to do it next week. Okay, so what I simply did here was I listed out some of the reviews, okay, in our review.test column, right, so that we can see some of the things that the customers are saying about the product. So look at the code there. It's pretty straightforward, and you also have it on your slides. If you don't understand it, I promise to explain it next week. Okay, so you can see the first review, and this is what the customer is saying about this. So because of time, we are going to stop here. Okay, so do well to ask me questions. Please don't forget, this is a very crucial part of this course. Okay, in order for us to successfully finish NLP in flying colors, we don't have to omit the exploratory data analysis part, as it is key for any analysis we want to do, right? It is key for building good and usable solutions, okay, that companies can use and we can also use to make good business driven decisions and all that. So I hope you stay safe, okay? Wash your hands, stay at home, and I'll see you next week. So until then, enjoy natural language processing. Bye.